Okay, so let's pick up where we left off in part one, and that would take us to right here, where they're going to have us create arrays and dictionaries using brackets. Whenever you see these brackets, that usually involves arrays and dictionaries. Access their elements by writing the index or key in brackets. Comma is allowed after the last element. Okay, so let's see their examples here. So again, this is declaring an array this time using the var keyword, which means it's a variable as opposed to a constant. Constant, I suppose. Hope I'm thinking correctly on that one. And so then what we have in the brackets is look to me like strings, right? Because they're in quotes. Catfish, water, tulips, and blue paint. If you haven't seen it before, an array, if you have not seen the concept of an array before, because that's what this is an array. Arrays have indexes. Now, the key thing to know about the arrays is the index starts in 0. So this catfish is index 0. Water is 1, 2, and then 3 is blue paint. So in this next line on 27, what's happening here is we're making a change, and we can make changes in our shopping list array because we declared it as a variable. So as I mentioned, the array's indexes start out at 0. Catfish is 0, water's 1, tulips is 2, blue paint is 3. So what we're doing here in this second line here is we're going to change the information at index 1 in the shopping list array to bottle of water. Okay, that's what that line's doing. So instead of just water, it's going to be bottle of water. And so it doesn't really show us that indeed that has happened, does it? So let's do a little something. Let's do something that shopping list, and let's see if it'll print out. There it is. You see what I did? So I typed in shopping list, and over to the right here, in this right column, notice that in that original array, which is the shopping list, at index 1, it's not just water, it's bottle of water. Why? Because we changed it here in the line above. Cool? Let's move on. Next one is var occupations. Now this one is not an array. This is actually a dictionary. And I know that because index or key, it has a key and a value that's separated by, instead of a comma, you've got them separated by the colon. So that indicates, in this case, a dictionary as opposed to a shopping list. Okay, but that's all right. This is very cool. So we've got occupations is the name, is our dictionary, and it's got two key value pairs. All right, fair enough. It prints them out over to the right. I see that. Now, same concept here. Let's see. So what's happening here down in this line, it looks to me like what's happening is it's adding a third key value pair. Hope I'm saying all these words correctly. And the key value pair, of course, is going to be Jane equals Jane in public relations. So again, what they didn't do is they didn't show how the dictionary has changed. So we can do the same thing. See if it works again this time. I'm just going to type in occupations. Sure enough, now it's cut off over here. Maybe I'll, there we go. See what I did? There's, when I come up here and put my cursor over, I think I can even do it here. Nope, I guess it's just over here. Then it's got, we got a quick look. I think this is called quick look. I know that because it's highlighting. I'm getting a little pop-up helper. So there's, I click on that little elliptical thing, and there's my quick look, where it shows our key and a value. Not sure what these 0.0, 0.1 things are. I'm not sure what the deal is with that. So I don't know how to explain that. And now if we click on the plus side, let's see how that's different. Oh, it does the same basic thing, does it? Not really. It puts it over here though, which I don't see how that's, at the moment, I don't see how that's all that helpful. Alright, and I'm not going to worry on it too much. And then I'm just going to continue. See, so we're making all changes and stuff to this playground that we've been given, and we're playing in our playground. Just like when we were a kid, a little sandbox, and we're trying things, and that's how we learn. That's how we learned when we were a kid. That's how we learn now as an adult, in my case, theoretically at least. To create an empty array or dictionary, use the initializer syntax. Okay, so this is the initializer syntax. We're making again, we're making a declaration, in this case an empty string array, you see, because it's in brackets, and then we had the parentheses out here. That's the syntax. And to do an empty dictionary, and both of these, by the way, are constants. Not sure why they did it that way, but I'm going to roll with it. Say instead of the var, like up here, in the exercise we did before, instead they're using the constants and with the keyword let. So empty dictionary, and in brackets, string is going to be the key, and the value is going to be a float. And again, you have to put the parentheses, and this is what you'll wind up with over to the right, and the colon inside the brackets dictates that it's a empty dictionary as opposed to just an empty array, which is the one on top. So let's see what it says here next. If type information can be inferred, you can write an empty array as just the empty brackets and add an empty dictionary as empty brackets with the colon, for example, when you set a new value for a variable or pass an argument to a function. When you set a new value for a variable or pass an argument to a function. If type information can be inferred, you can write an empty array as and an empty dictionary as here, for example, when you set a new value for a variable or pass an argument to a function. So let's see what they mean by that. Let's take a look at their examples. Okay, so that's just an empty array, and that's just an empty dictionary. That's easy enough, I get that. Okay, and then so in our playground, I hit next. And now I'm into control flow. So that's going to be using things like an if statement, or perhaps even a switch, to make conditionals, and use for in, for while, and repeat while to make loops to give us control flow. Parentheses around the condition or loop variable are optional. Braces around the body are required. Okay, fine. Let's take a look at their examples again. Let individual scores. So what kind of data structure is this again? Well, that's array because it's in brackets, separated by comments, and it's a constant array, so that's not going to be one that we can change as far as I know. So let's see how they do that. And then they're declaring a variable team score and initializing it to 0, to a value of 0. And then now we're going to take a look at a loop. So if you haven't seen loops before, they're cool. And this is going to be a for loop, and you'll get the sense for how it works. For score in individual scores. So each one of these is going to be what we call a score. And we picked that word score. We could have used a different word, but score is very descriptive because the array is individual scores. And we're going to loop through these scores. So we said for score in individual scores, and if the score is greater than 50, and now we have the braces to say what we're going to do in that case. We're going to team score is going to be equal to team score plus 3. That's the syntax. That's what that means. Team score is equal to team score plus 3. I believe that's how that works. So even the first one is 75, and now if we were able to show that, it just added 3 to 75. Let's see if I'm just curious to see if I our team score. Oh, so what I want to do is see if it'll show us what happened here. Now I got to spell it correctly, otherwise it's not going to work. And basically, I want to see if it will show us individual scores. No, so far no. Let's see if this does anything for us. Oh, individual scores, it shows 3 because that should mean that 3 of those scores are over 50. So there's 1 over 50, 2, 3. Oh, sure enough. And here, I'm hoping that it would have changed and added 3 in each of those cases. So that would be 78, 106, and 90. Let's see if I'm thinking correctly on that. No, I didn't do it. Oh, you know what? I just realized something. How is it going to change those individual scores? That's a constant. So this one's interesting. I'll take that out of there. That's not going to work because individual score is a constant. But team score, however, is a variable. Oh. Okay. Well, let's just do this. Team score. And I hope this benefits you to see what I've done at least at this time. Okay, so once I move my cursor over to the right here in this right column, then it gives me a helpful highlight that shows me all the way across to the left what I'm working with. I hope you can see that in the video. And so now, oh, it plotted it. You see that? Huh. That's interesting. It plotted it. Okay, so that's fair enough. What if I come here? So it plotted it. Isn't that interesting? yeah, it plotted it, and that plot is cool. However, it doesn't show me the numbers. I wanted to see the numbers. So I'm going to take that out of there for now. What if I said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll move on, and hopefully it'll get to where it shows us how to work with that a little bit better. Because what I really wanted to see was I wanted to see the team score numbers change. Now I'm kind of curious. I'm going to give it a print statement. Okay, that's how we print. I have no idea if this is going to work or not. Print team score. Team score. Team score is 10. Well, I'm not exactly sure how they got that. And so I'm not going to worry about it now. We're never going to let one thing hang us up here, okay? So for right now, we'll just take that out of there. I'm not sure how they came up with that. Else, team score is plus or equals to 1. Okay, so in other words, if it's not greater than 50, which happens here in 43, and it happens here in 12, then team score would be incremented that way. And I'm not doing a very good job of explaining this, but this is the conditional right here. Is score in scores, in individual scores, greater than 50? If it is, you do this. Else, you do what's in the blocks down here, the else. Okay, now they did what I did earlier. Print team score. Okay, so I think I see what may have happened. When this goes through, it's going to be 3 plus 3 is 9. Because each one of those is over 50. So you have 9. And then you have 2 that are not over 50, so they're going to get the 1. So that's 10 and 11. That's what happened. So what's happening here is it's just adding 3 to team score every time one of the item that you're looping over is greater than 50. Else, if this isn't greater than 50, it's going to give it a team score value of 1. And then they printed their team score, and that's what you got. So that kind of helps us on a whole bunch of different levels. That helps us understand what's happening here, because I was a little bit confused by that. Sorry. So let's continue. Let's scroll down. If an if statement, the conditional, in an if statement, the conditional must be a Boolean. A Boolean means like yes or no, that kind of thing. That's yes or no is an example of a Boolean expression. This means that the code such as if score is an error, not implicit comparison to 0. Right, because 3 dots is not a Boolean. I think that's what they mean. So let's continue. You can use if and let together to work with values that might be missing. These values are represented as optionals. Okay, so now we're already into optionals, and I find optionals to be, kind of a new thing for me to wrap my head around. I'm still learning about optionals, but let's see if this will help my learning. An optional value either contains a value or it contains nil to indicate that a value is missing. Write a question mark after the type of a value to mark the value as optional. Now let's look at their examples. Here's they're declaring a variable called optional string, and it's explicit because they're explicitly declaring it as a string, assigning it the hello, but after the string they're also putting this question mark. How interesting. Okay, that's this concept of an optional. So let's just continue and see if we see what point they're making, and see if we can learn what they're trying to show us. So then here we're printing something, and we're saying print optional string is the same as nil. So this is actually the way we've written this. This print statement itself is a Boolean. Okay, because we're doing we've kind of phrased that as a conditional, I think is what's happened. And in this case, the answer is that that conditional that's within those parentheses is false, because optional string is not the same as nil, because we assigned hello to it. All right. Now, however, what would happen if hello wasn't there? Okay, I'll take the parentheses out all the way. What I'm trying to do is to see if I can make that turn from false to true in that line right below, over on the right. So now I've got my nil, and finally it worked. Now it says true over here. So see what's happening there? Now I'm going to put it back. I think it said hello, right? I hope so. And so hello is false, and then we're going to continue. Come down here to this third line, and we're going to declare an optional name. Same concept. It's a variable string. It's an optional with a question mark. And then we're going to assign it a name called John Appleseed. And the next line, we're going to have a variable called greeting. We're going to assign it the string hello with the okay, so fine. And then next, if let name is equal to optional name, then what we're going to do is we're going to have a greeting called hello name, using that string interpolation. And what is our name? Well, let's think about that. This is interesting, huh? So if let name, so this is our conditional, is let name equal optional name. So we've created a conditional app. This is really kind of cool, actually. In this line, we've done a whole bunch of things. We've done quite a few things. It's an if statement, and our conditional is actually also, correct me if I'm wrong, it's declaring a name conditional. Oh, okay, so it's going to create and assign the optional name, which is John Appleseed, to this thing, to this conditional name. Okay. And now here comes our greeting. We've already declared greeting, so we don't have to redeclare it. And our greeting is going to be hello, and then we're going to do string interpolation for the name, which, of course, as we said in the right above it, that's going to be the optional name. The optional name is John Appleseed in this case. So over to the right, the result is going to be hello, John Appleseed. Pretty cool, huh? Now, what if John Appleseed was nil? Excuse me, yeah, instead of John Appleseed, what if this was nil up here? Since this is an option, what would happen then? Well, what do you think would happen? I think what would happen is, obviously, it's not going to say John Appleseed because John Appleseed is going to be gone. It's going to say nil. And well, you know what? I think I'm thinking if let name equals optional name. I'm thinking it might not print anything over to the right. It's either that or it'll just print hello. So what do you think will happen? Let's try it. Now, to do that, I'm going to try commenting this out because, like any good computer guy, I'm lazy, right? I don't want to have to retype that. So what I've done is I've commented out the John Appleseed. It's turned green in my playground, the John Appleseed, and that'll make it real easy for me to bring it back. So now our optional name is nil. Let's see. Oh, yeah, optional name is nil, not optional string. Our optional name is nil. Okay, and there's our vol greeting. And sure enough, look what happened over on the right here. On these lines down here, there's nothing showing. It's not even going to print out the hello. Why? Because our conditional didn't happen. Because there is no optional name is nil. Is it making sense? It is to me, slowly but surely. And this, again, I've been studying this stuff periodically, and I repeat it a lot. So ultimately, I'm picking some of these things up. So some of the stuff you're not going to pick up on the first go round. It takes time, dedication. You got to be interested in this. It's got to be interesting to you. If it's not, I would, that's not going to work as well. But what can also happen is it might not be as interesting to you initially, and once you see how the computer programming works, the coding, at some point it might really switch onto it, and that's kind of where I'm at. I'm really starting to enjoy it, the coding. So what I'm going to do, I switched it to nil just to see what would happen, and I learned about that. And I'm going to take the nil out of there, remove my comments, my commenting, and we're back to where we were. Okay. Now let's see if the experiment is something different that we haven't already done. Yeah, change optional name to nil. That's exactly what we did. What greeting did you get? Got nothing. Add an else clause that sets a different greeting if the optional name is nil. Okay, so that's cool. And we could use the example up above here where they did that. You see how, take a look at how that's structured. Okay, and that's going to be my example that I'm going to use. Okay, and so I'm going to start here, and now I'm going to write my else clause. Notice I didn't have to hit this right bracket because when I put in the initial bracket, it went ahead and automatically added the closing bracket, which that's great, again, for a lazy person like me. It's awesome. And so let's think about what we're going to do here. Most likely is in our else clause that sets a different greeting if optional name is nil. Okay, so now let's set the greeting if it's nil. I'm going to say something like hello, let's see, Mr. No Name. Now, I'm not exactly sure if that's what they wanted me to do. Our greeting is hello. And let's see, how are we going to test this? We would test this by coming back up here, putting our comment lines back, and setting this to nil, our optional name. And sure enough, it worked. Hello, Mr. No Name. Our else statement worked. And now I can just move on. I don't necessarily have to do anything more than that. Okay, and so we'll stop there, I think, and take a little break. Okay, and then we'll pick right back up here, continuing with finishing up. Actually, let's go ahead and finish up the optional. And then we'll stop. So let's just read this. If the optional value is nil, the conditional is false, and code in the braces is skipped. Otherwise, the optional value is unwrapped and assigned to the constant after let. Yeah, up here, which makes the unwrapped value available inside the block of code. Okay, I get that. And I get that now, but I didn't get that initially. That took me. So another way to handle optional values is to provide a default value using the double question mark operator. Now that's new. I haven't seen that. If the optional value is missing, the default value is used instead. To provide a default value. If the optional value is missing, the default value is used instead. All right, and they're going to give us some examples, it looks like. Let nickname string. So it's is nil. Let full name string be John Appleseed. So he doesn't have a nickname, but he's got a full name. Let informal greeting equal hi, and then we're going to use the interpolation nickname question mark full name. Oh, well, that's cool. Is to provide a default value using the operators. A default value using the operator. The default value is used instead. That's very interesting. Now let's see here if we give him a nickname. John Appleseed. And I'm going to give him some kind of funny nickname up here. And I want to see what happens. Now, we're going to have to put that in quotes in order for it to work. I'll say his nickname is Silly Man. Okay, so there it is. So what happened? Oh, that's cool. So look what happened. Instead of doing his full name, because we had a nickname, which was the optional, it's going to use the, with that syntax, it's going to use the nickname, which is Silly Man, for a default value using the, yeah, so that's cool. In this case, our default value, I suppose, would be full name. Yeah, that has to be right. Our default value is actually full name. So I just learned something. I learned several things just doing this. So this is super helpful. I'm gonna switches is going to be next, but we're going to go ahead and take our break now. Let's kind of break up these segments a little bit. Okay, so I'll stop the video. Here we go.